the charge. I want a quarterback. I want a long-term answer. That's what I'm excited about. But this defense, all of a sudden, guys, I mean, there's a ton of potential. We'll see if Shane Bowen does anything with it, but a ton of potential on this defense if you had those two players in the first 2 rounds. After what we did in free agency in the secondary, I'd be really excited to watch this defense next year if we end up with those 2 players.
Me too.
Totally agreed. So before we lock in our pick, which I think is going to be one of these defensive tackles, just because Jason Johnson in the live chat here is asking, do you both think that running back is even a possibility at number 34? I know that we mentioned Amari and Hampton, and if he slides out of the first round, maybe he could be the pick at 34, but that feels like extenuating circumstances. Outside of Hampton, do you think that Joe Shane would really consider taking a running back in the second round? Because he's met with a lot of running backs this year. I think they've met with 6 or 7 total. Seems like it's a priority for them to add a running back to this backfield. Do you think that the second round, though, is too early, or should their interest indicate that maybe they're going to surprise us?
I'll say this. I think we're going to have a running back on our team by the end of day 2. I don't know if it's going to be with this pick or if it's going to be at 99 or 65, but I think by the end of day 2, there will be a running back on the New York Giants. More than likely, I think Hampton's probably the only potential running back, if he were to drop, which I don't think he will, that the Giants could take, because I think he's the type of guy most teams value as like a Jahmyr Gibbs, like a guy most people feel should be a first-round talent. But I think he would wait because it's such a deep class too. There's so many good running backs in this class. I think he waits till that 3rd round area to do it. I don't think he'll do it here unless Hampton falls. Then he thinks about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hampton is the exception to the rule here at 34. I don't think they would go any other running back there unless he managed to fall out of the first round, knowing that it's a deep running back class, knowing that they do have some guys on the roster that they could take a swing on someone later. I would be surprised if they picked any running back other than Hampton at 34.
Yeah, I would be too. But I do find it interesting, and the last point that I'll make before we do lock in that defensive tackle pick, if you look at the Giants' top 30 visits, the only 2 offensive linemen they've met with are Marcus Mbow and Donovan Jackson. Those are both round 2 players. If you look at their defensive tackles, though, Darius Alexander, I know PFF has him going in the 2nd, but a lot of other mocks have him in the 3rd, as well as Alfred Collins in the 3rd, and Joshua Farmer as a 3rd-round pick as well. So they've really looked at 3rd-round defensive tackles, but meanwhile, the running backs have been a little bit of a scatter between rounds 2 and 3. So I almost wonder if we can look at their top 30 visits and kind of piece together what their multiple, like, first 4-round draft plan really is here, is kind of how I've started to look at it. So I think that they could surprise us. I think in round 2, they could end up going running back. Potentially, I would think in a trade down so they could add additional value.
I want to shout out Ray W., by the way. Great subscriber of mine. He came in and he says, did I miss Bumper Pool? My favorite name in the history of the NFL. He was me and Bad Dog, we would mock him to the Eagles every mock draft that we did a couple of years ago. I love that name, Bumper Pool. It's fantastic. But Ray, good to see you, man.
I don't even know Bumper Pool. But all right, so what are we thinking here?
There's a reason you don't know who he is. He did get drafted, I think. Or at least he was rostered, because I remember watching a game last year that he played in.
I loved Kool-Aid last year.
Oh, fantastic.
Great name.
Fantastic name.
On the topic of good names, before we lock in this defensive tackle pick, which I feel like I've said 4 times, though, but fun names. I think his name is John Tuggle, Mr. Irrelevant from 1983 that the Giants drafted. Did you guys see that he's getting a movie, a biopic made about him?
No.
Yeah, so we're getting a New York Giants movie technically coming out in the next couple of years. So it's going to be Michael Shannon starring as Bill Parcells, and it's going to be David Cornsweet, who's playing the new Superman, starring as John Tuggle, Mr. Irrelevant for the New York Giants in 1983. Yeah.
Did you see, awesome. Speaking of football, did you see Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting too.
That's going to be weird. I don't know if I can see him doing the Madden voice. Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden, yeah.
Wow.
Nicolas Cage is crazy. I won't discount him being able to pull it off, but
I love him.
Yeah,
I think he's hysterical. I'm excited for it.
I think we're in for a good show there. So for this pick, though, I'm leaning Darius Alexander because I think he is a really good prospect. Plus, I think because the Giants had the top 30 visit with him, out of those guys here at the top, Omar Norman Lott, Tyleek Williams, I think Darius Alexander, since they visited with him, does make the most sense. Are we in consensus there?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick there. I think that very likely they go DT there, and he seems like he makes a lot of sense. I've seen him a little bit, but you know more than me when it comes to him, so I'll trust your judgment. I think it'll be a D tackle.
All right, let's go with Darius Alexander then, and let's simulate over to round 3.
Oh, I thought you were taking the Ohio State guy, Tyreek Williams. Either way, I think they're going D tackle.
No, yeah, Darius
yeah.
Alexander, because that's who they met with.
Yeah, it makes sense.
that?
Top 30 visit.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, the mock draft machine is a little bit funny.
Scatterboo to Seattle. Doesn't Seattle have